Get their attention, color the footage, color it with vibes, make it 4x3, light it more, change the fit. Halation, film grain, vibes. Is this filmmaking now? I mean, let's be honest, I'm dunking on myself. I do these things all the time for the vibes. Why? Because it works.
I did not realize that I had AirPods in the entire time I filmed that video. Also, I'm starting to realize when I do more in-depth scripts where I really care about the writing, I look mad when I deliver to camera. It's just because I'm thinking really hard. I'm not mad, I promise. Okay, back to the video.
For the longest time growing up, I was under the impression that being a filmmaker was one very specific thing. A person who directs or produces movies for the theater or television. Isn't it a bit novice or taboo to start a video essay or speech with the dictionary definition of a word? Hey, shut the f up. You know, many may still be under the impression that being a filmmaker is only producing feature-length films and or series that should be shown in theaters or big screens or television. But have you heard of the internet? It's becoming resoundingly clear that internet filmmakers are making more unique, robust, atypical, often more engaging shorts than Hollywood at this point. Hollywood's obsession with profits and ratings has resulted in the golden age of sequels and remakes, and I can speak on behalf of the viewership, I think confidently in saying, it's getting boring. So instead of going to the theater, what have we been doing?
There are some days that are super.
Well, yeah. But
we like YouTube now.
I grew up using my parents' camcorder, not as a trendy filmmaking tool as it's used often these days, but literally because it was the only thing I had to film anything. I got a ton of reps with the thing, figured out how it worked, and became fluent in the use of it. And then class projects came around, and my fluency in the use of a camcorder resulted in a lot of reviews that were positive from my peers and superiors. I'm not gonna lie, that motivated me to want to make more, because who doesn't like praise? Let's be honest. It's the same story as many filmmakers my age with the camcorder, but there's a lot of people in the skibbity toilet era. There's a ton of younger individuals that I see today using iPhones and vlog cameras and things of the like to increase their fluency in the filmmaking medium. It's all the same, yeah? Birthed out of passion and excitement and reviews and praise. None of us in those beginning phases were trying to vibe anything out at that point. The medium inspired us, whether it was because we were in front of the camera, behind it, telling a story. It actually helped us connect with people emotionally on the internet, in real life. And that was the main thing for me, at least, the connection point. Art that I was making people laugh, cry, be excited. It was really powerful. It was all filmed on a potato too. It can be hard for me to watch filmmaking YouTube these days. A lot of filmmakers are making this coming of age video that shows all the signs of fluency in filmmaking, but it's only talking about how that individual doesn't have their creative voice yet. And hear me out. There is nothing wrong with that video and making that video at all. Why? Because we can all relate to it. And let's be honest, that's why they do so well, because all the other artists and filmmakers can deeply relate to it. But that cloud of insecurity in the filmmaking world can blind you. It can jail you if you don't combat it, and combat it actively. If you're not willing to step into fear and the unknown as an artist, you might be subject to not seeing through that cloud. I'm a runner.
That's
so
cool.
Impressive.
Now, while running is having its cultural moment, and how could it not? I mean, look at this. It's beautiful, isn't it? It's snowing in March. Outside of the obvious physical attributes and it becoming something that people do to stay healthy, I think a lot of people aren't recognizing that they're falling in love with it for a completely different reason.
If you grew up in the States, you probably remember the graphic of a plot diagram in English class. Exposition, conflict, rising action, climax, falling action, and resolution. It's the constant thread you'll see in virtually every narrative film or book. Now, obviously there are exceptions to this, but
The beautiful thing about running is that it always is a metaphor for story and tells a story, no matter how horrifically boring or life-changing any given run can be.
It's something that's drastically changed my life as a filmmaker. I started in running after our second kid was born just because I wanted to become more healthy. But every part of falling in love with running mirrored how I fell in love with filmmaking. So I started documenting it. And simultaneously, I deepened my skills in the filmmaking medium by a multitude of different projects. I was filming, sharing, rinsing, repeating, and in that process, I found myself wanting to make something of more substance than just a 5 to 15 minute YouTube video. Pause. Now I'm about to tell you how I embarked on my first feature film. That's a great story, but first I want to tell you about how my filmmaking friend Jake Frew and I will be teaching at the Camp Film Festival in Austin, Texas at the Paramount Theater on April 26th and 27th, 2025. The title of our talk is Filmmaking is a Marathon.
Wow,
that makes sense because he's a runner. Creating long-term success while making meaningful work. But Jake and I are just one small part of the event. Jack Conti, the CEO of Patreon and Mastermind Creative, will be the keynote speaker, along with speaking appearances by visual artist and filmmaker Gawks, travel documentarian Natalie Lynn, and YouTube sensations Kane Pixels, creator of The Backrooms, and Wesley Wang, director of Nothing Except Everything, each landing deals with A24 and TriStar respectively. And then arguably one of the most exciting things about the festival is that there are 12 filmmakers who got their start on the internet. They're showcasing their short films and one feature to everybody that attends this festival. And really the heart behind this is to showcase how someone who could start being a filmmaker at home can really rival the storytelling and ability of what Hollywood is doing these days. Now, if you're a filmmaker or an artist and you're interested in this festival, I implore you to at least consider it. I can't tell you how much events like this in the past for me altered the trajectory of my career, both in how I approached my business and artistry creatively, but who I met along the way that helped me bolster and construct the business and filmmaking career that I have now. If you'd like more information, you can go to campfilmfestival.com or click the link in my description, first link there. And for the next 7 days, you can actually get 20% off your tickets with the code ERIC. I really hope to see you there. Would love to meet you. Moving still, we filmed a feature documentary on the life, art, and running of Joe Greer. I met Joe at the 2021 New York City Marathon, both doing what we love with running, but it was his first ever marathon. So I took out my phone at the beginning of the race and did a little interview to document his first marathon, all of his thoughts and feelings. Little I know that that clip would actually birth the idea of us making a feature about Joe's life and his running. At that point, I'd really developed a desire to make something bigger than the short form stuff I was making. And at the time, I didn't think that it would become feature length, but thanks to my legendary co-director, Steven Schultz, and our unbelievable producer, Gene Yoon, and the rest of Creative Club, our group of friends and friends afar, joining in and making this happen and saying yes over and over, it turned into something far bigger than we ever imagined, and a feature length, 75-minute documentary. In this case, filmmaking was literally a marathon, but it's figurative too. You can actually watch the entire thing for free on YouTube. It's on my channel. You can check it out. Truth is, it never would have been made without the crew involved being curious and tenacious. And because of this, I was inspired to actually document more of my running journey tenaciously with my filmmaking background. And with the help of my friends Shua and Cyrus over the years, I've been able to partner with brands, essentially do commercial filmmaking work within running, bringing other people into the sport and motivating them to do so. And it's given me the ability to practice my filmmaking skills for a non-theatrical, non-televised viewing medium, YouTube. And it's been so fulfilling artistically and creatively. So to that point, may I suggest that we'll never find our voice as filmmakers, that it will constantly be evolving and changing and progressing into what it inevitably becomes. Or maybe it's found by doing instead of searching, by meeting others instead of only being an at-home filmmaker, by testing instead of toiling. So hey, you, at-home filmmaker, maybe consider cutting out some of the film grain, halation, the fit, the lighting, aspect ratio, and color, and maybe focus a little more on if a story worth watching is being told. Don't be afraid, go make stuff with intention. Was I wearing AirPods this entire time?